Hello guys, welcome to another edition. Sounds better?
Edition works. It works.
Okay.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about a very interesting topic and a very pressing topic actually, pollution. So most of my life I've lived in this part of the world, which is Asia, and associated regions. So the massive problem that we're having is plastic pollution, right? And by the way, this is Damon from New Zealand, and
Late introduction, but it's okay. He got there in the end.
yeah. So he's a very good friend of mine, and he will tell me all about how they deal with pollution in New Zealand. It's a very beautiful country. If you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, let's begin. So my first question to you is that plastic waste, and you've been here in Asia for quite a long time, right? Probably longer than I have.
No, I doubt that. So I've been in Nepal for 7 months and Vietnam for around 9 months now.
About 9 months now.
Yeah, so a bit, nearly 2 years I think in Asia.
Yeah, that's about the same time as I've been here in this part. Anyways, the biggest problem that we see and observe is the amount of plastic washing up on the shoreline, right? We have a beach very close by, and a few weeks ago I went there and I was really sad about how much plastic was washing up on the beaches, and most of it was obviously originating from here. In fact, this country is actually the fourth largest producer of plastic pollution.
The Southeast Asia region is the largest.
So what I was shocked about when I got here was that if you go shopping to a relatively bigger supermarket, I'm not going to take the names of the brands, but as soon as you buy anything, hardly anything, let's say you buy a shampoo, they put it in a plastic bag and then another plastic bag and then they give it to you, right? So when you get home, the plastic is useless for you. So what I do is throw it away in the bin. The problem is it doesn't end up in a proper place where it needs to be. It just gets, washed up. Where in a landfill or worse, in the ocean, right? So my question is, how did New Zealand stop doing that? What are the differences that you've observed so far?
The biggest differences I think can be contributed. The first one can be contributed to temperature. We're teachers, right?
Yep.
We buy a lot of candy for the kids.
Absolutely.
Make them behave. we have to. There's some classes you just have to buy candy for. And I noticed that they triple wrap a lot. Okay. So it's plastic within plastic within plastic.
Yes.
I've never seen that in New Zealand. But I think that can be put down to the fact that New Zealand is not as hot as Vietnam.
Right.
So in many ways they have to stop the melting of a lot of the perishable foods. And in other ways they have a very different market system to New Zealand. We have big mega stores, fully ventilated. The temperatures are just right. We don't need to have those extra layers of protections. You go around most of Southeast Asia and they have open markets. They carry a lot of perishable foods around on their motorbikes and all the rest of it.
Absolutely.
So I think one of the reasons is that they don't have the facilities needed to keep the food safe, sanitary, the way that New Zealand does. And so I think they use a lot of plastic to kind of make up for that. So if they're taking meat, for example, meat in New Zealand would be possibly a thin layer of plastic. Put it into like even in New Zealand, it's a plastic bag as well.
But it's only for specific products, right? We're buying like dishwashers and shampoos, things that don't even need plastic. And again, in another plastic, again, same with the candies, right? That we buy. They're not perishable items, so to speak, but then, we have this bad habit, right? So in terms of, come to the solution part, right? What would you propose? Like, what do you think is implementable here?
One of the things that is very popular currently in the world is a plastic tax. Effectively, we as consumers would have to pay. In Britain, I know it's been very effective. I think it's 40p. So you pay additional if you want to use a plastic bag. So they ask you, do you want to use a plastic bag to take your food home? And then if you choose to do so, you have to pay additional money. New Zealand's done the same. It's a small incentive. It's not a big amount. It's not going to cripple you.
But that can make a massive difference.
But yeah, it's when a person is confronted with the idea that they have to pay for their pollution.
True.
I think it's also when you're talking about the, for example, the dishwashing liquid and such. You know, we have to buy the big bags and with the liquid or the powder, and we put it in. I mean, we discussed this before, but in New Zealand, we have a wrapping around our detergent, whether it be powder or liquid, normally powder. And we have a wrapping around it, and then we put it in the dishwasher, and it disintegrates alongside the powder to wash the dishes.
So it's a substitute for a plastic.
Yeah.
It encases the whole detergent material inside it, and you just throw it in, and it works.
And it works. It does. But I mean, that's not so much what we can do as consumers. That's more so that they need the market and a company to kind of have that, I guess, patents or technology or capacity to actually make that.
Since you're a teacher, all right, and you've been here for almost 9 months and about 2 years in Asia, so far. So my last question is that, I mean, you see the newer generation, they're very aware, but they're still like, you know, they feel helpless because, I mean, the moment I begin to ask them these questions, all they say is that the government doesn't do this, the government doesn't do that. What do you think they need to do as like individually? Because it's the same people that are actually, you know, being a part of such a massive thing, right? And if they realize how much power they have, it'll be amazing, right? But what would your message be?
It's community events. I mean, let's not also forget the fact that, you know, the government, in terms of a regulatory role, does have a large part to play. You know, some of the biggest polluters are companies who don't have any either rules and regulations around how much plastic they produce or any penalties for actually polluting. But as individuals, of course, it's like, for example, I use the bottle from the gym. I still have one with me in my room, even though we use the big 20-liter waters in the containers. But one thing that I just realized this as you were talking. We'll wrap it up.
No, that's fine.
But was the infrastructure, right? In New Zealand, we get water from the taps.
Okay.
So when you and the same in Nepal, like the problem is not water scarcity or a lack of water. It's the infrastructure to maintain fresh drinkable water from the tap.
All right.
If we as in you know, Southeast Asia had the infrastructure to drink water from the tap, imagine how much plastic that would cut down instead of buying individual bottles.
All right.
So maybe one thing that I guess individuals can do is community events to clean up.
Got it.
But that's also superficial, right? Like, it's not addressing the core problem.
It can only do so much.
But
again, the value, what do you call? I mean, the community sense, the awareness, the educational value of it is really high.
Taking the classes, for example. Absolutely. You know, like that's where it's our job, I guess, as educators, to make sure that young people, you know, especially get them while they're young, right? That young people will realize that you can minimize plastic wastage. And we can also, it does bring a good sense of community to volunteer and go and pick up rubbish at the beach. But I think it's also being aware of the bigger picture and the role that individuals play in that.
Absolutely.
Whether that be getting together and, you know, maybe, I don't know, making a campaign, an awareness campaign, or going to schools and talking about it, or, you know, talking to representatives and all the rest of it. So
absolutely,
there's a large role we can play. Definitely.
Absolutely. All right, so that was a very productive conversation. Thank you so much, Damon. All right,
absolutely.
I'll see you around.
I'll be back.
All right, thank you so much.